So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Thomas, and I will try to pack all of my experience from the previous 6 years into 15 minutes. And it has given me a very hard time to produce, such content for such a short period. So let's try. To introduce myself, I would like to show you some of the projects I have been working on, so you can set your expectation to the right level when it comes to paying attention to the information I say, because some of you in this room will have definitely far greater experience than I do, but maybe you will learn something or maybe take some concepts out of the presentation. So 4 years ago. One of the projects which I'm especially proud of was a project management solution for a company called Lasvit, which produces installations like this. And it is a very complex and lengthy process, which involves many people from the sales through design, construction, shipping, and installation of such beautiful items, which are usually to be seen in hall lobbies and places like that. So this was something which we started building with all these ideas and concepts in mind, which I will be sharing today. And the customer is still happy 4 years after. They onboarded hundreds of projects in the billions of Czech crowns, which they're now delivering through this application. And it's fully built on Power Apps, Dataverse, and Power Platform components. The next project which I worked on was solution which our government introduced to measure the fuel prices when the war started, and they needed to collect all the information about the publicly displayed prices within a week. So when this project got to us, we decided to use Dataverse, Power Automate, and a portal solution, so we could get in touch with all the involved parties and create a report in an extremely short time. And it was also successful, and I think part of that is because the tools and approach that we chose. The thing that I'm working on right now is quite different, because I started with small solutions for the SME and small customers, and now I have worked all the way up through the chain to work with customers who have quite different style of operating Power Platform and quite unique issues and challenges when it comes to bringing a solution from idea to production. And this has also quite significantly influenced the way I think about Power Platform operation, which I will be sharing with you today. So to introduce you into some of the concepts why I'm sharing them here, I would like to start with summarizing the kind of complication that we have ahead of us, that many of us need to deal with. So when we come to an organization and we want to ship a Power Platform solution, either using an internal team or using a supplier, a Microsoft partner, we deal with some troubles that people don't trust the tools, despite we have all the answers, we have all the practices which are in line with the industry standards, but we still need to convince people because there are doubts. The technology is maturing. We're around I think we're behind the peak of the hype, but we still need to convince people. And it's very hard to find developers who are experienced in building these solutions, because if you look at one side of the spectrum and you take inexperienced makers, the so-called citizen developers, the results are usually, I'm not saying that applies all the time, but they're usually not built well. They don't scale well, and there are usually performance issues which are arising from the fact that these apps are built by people who do not have the perspective of algorithmic thinking, and sometimes they push the application beyond what is the easy use case for which this could be used like that. And then on the other side, we have professional developers like myself. My background comes from ASP.NET and building applications using different stacks. We either hated the tooling or we don't have any experience, so we kind of resign on the job before we even start. So what could be done so we could somehow improve this situation, and what kind of concepts and ideas we could employ to let people participate in this setup. So my idea is that we can look at the regular software engineering practices, design thinking. We can employ some consulting and revealing issues early on in the design. And all of this coming together can, help us deliver better projects. That's kind of obvious, right? So to summarize the things which I think we can fix and we can focus on, because I needed to fix them within my company. I needed to fix them for some of my large customers who are running the operation in-house. So I would list couple of them that we could talk about. So I think it's quite often that people are too focused on delivering features, and they're too focused on shipping something, but they're not so involved in the thinking what outcomes it produces and whether we meet the success criteria, whether we actually manage to fulfill the vision and goals set by business. Also, when you give the tool to the hands of people who are not assigned to it full time, or when they don't have the skills required to build such apps, it usually ends with bad results. And there are many apps I needed to fix and I needed to rewrite because they under-delivered on the promises when it comes to the user experience. Then a pretty common issue is that all the people involved in the process are misaligned. They have different expectations about how the application is supposed to work and how the user will actually use and execute their steps in the app. Many times we've seen, during agile Scrum style delivery, that we are giving our sprints too ambitious goals, which are hard to analyze, hard to deliver, and it takes a long time to actually meet those promises. We often come to places that have some internal IT department, some sort of governance setup already in place. And when I came to the bank that I presented here, the time to market used to be more than 6 months. And it was very hard to sell, the idea of, launching a particular application throughout the organization, because too many people had a say in how it's supposed to be done, and this could be improved. And I think that when you come from the developer side, you also often deal with problems when it comes to actually, working with the tools day to day. Because with projects where there are many colleagues working on the same environment, same project, you usually conflict. You have different environments in inconsistent states, and it's hard to deal with, solving those incidents and getting back on track. So working in parallel is usually not efficient. So first kind of thing that we can use to address this is the built-in concept, which is native to Power Platform, and that's separation by environments. So what we usually start with is some sort of setup of an environment strategy where we try to outline, when a particular solution goes to a particular policy and which environment it eventually lands in. There are different approaches to this. The thing that I usually work with is that I try to define, who is owning the solution, who is responsible for operating it, which kind of audience does the app has, so that we treat the org-level environment, organization-wide apps differently than we treat some personal automation scenarios. And we also look at the operational availability requirements, so how much people scream when the application is offline. You also need to work with the kind of data sensitivity that will be for the data which will be in your environment, because that's something you need to be very precise about when you want to prevent some data leakage and risks like that. So we usually form some sort of rules, which combinations are allowed in which situation. We don't have time to go deeper into that, but you eventually end up with a recipe for people to clearly communicate what they need to do as part of the process when you want to onboard those apps, and what are the kind of apps that you can build in a particular setup, so that you can decide when the application is operated by a local team, by a Microsoft partner, by individuals or Center of Excellence teams. So the next idea or kind of thing that I needed to change my thinking around over time was my focus on trying to optimize for delivering features, which has turned out to be a very bad idea, because usually if you have people sitting in isolated functional roles, and you try to push for utilization and you want to deliver as much features as possible, usually find yourself in a couple of problems, which are kind of defined by the nature of software development. Because if you look at what it takes to develop an application from the system perspective, you have you cannot treat it like your inputs and outputs are people, roadmaps, and new functions in the software. Because when you do it like that, you usually end up with a very hard to maintain piece of product, which is costly to operate. It becomes very bloated over time, and it usually doesn't deliver up to the promises which were set up before the project even started, and which were the reason for building the application in the first place. So there is not one way how you can build software. What is important is whether the piece of increment that you deploy actually meets the expectations of the business. So you should rather focus on how you set up the goals, what you're going after with the particular implementation, and then measure and improve upon meeting those outcomes. So what is happening to me on a daily basis is that we deal with tens of cool use cases for yet another parking app, and over time I've learned to distinguish which are the opportunities that we are going after. How do you decide that this app is worth building and putting my attention to? And I got this idea from the classic sales methodology, sprint. Spin. It's called spin. So when the stakeholder is able to run through this mental exercise with me during the first few meetings, I usually know that this is a high-value scenario. I can identify what is the potential business case, and I can start defining, the goals and benefits and outcomes which my solution is supposed to produce. So from my experience, usually, this is something which eliminates, 1 out of 3 applications that I assess. Because people just want to have this cool operational tool, which is usually not backed by some intention of senior management to achieve some sort of outcome. When I pass through that stage, I usually try to form some sort of a mind map where I put the main project goal at the center. This might look stupid and too high level, but believe me that getting multiple members of the executive team or senior management into a single room and getting them to agree what is the particular outcome of why we are building a single thing is quite a difficult and lengthy exercise. And they usually disagree with each other, and through that process you can distill the project goal, and then you can start working around that, forming some sort of a plan which will turn out to be a product backlog. When you start, working your way through the product that you're trying to build and through the different features and stories that you need to deliver, you should maintain the footprint of the whole product, even though you're not planning to build some stuff, just yet. So I usually use product backlog as a living document, which is regularly updated, and I always take some small bits out of it, and I create sprint goals around them. So that we have a clear idea of what we want to achieve. So usually when you're starting a project and you have got an idea, it is very uncertain of how much time it will take and what kind of solution exactly we will choose for implementation of the particular application, but this risk and uncertainty lowers over time. So this is the way how I usually try to structure the projects into some higher level phases or iterations. It was also an important lesson to me that no matter how much I try, people always suck at giving estimates. They can compare things, if they've done something in the past and they feel this could be similar. It kind of works, but all my estimation and all the estimations of my colleagues early on in the process, they turn out to be wrong. And it's the nature of the software development. And at some point, I stopped fighting, and I just accepted the fact that we'll not be good at giving estimates. So we kind of built our operation around that particular fact. Because usually when you're dealing with something complex you have not seen before, you might very well end up in a very different, with a very different thing, to be able to meet the outcome that you outlined in the beginning. And if you overpromise in the beginning, you set some fixed price goals and stuff like that, it pushes you to, sacrifice on quality or something which will definitely not make the customer happy. So when I'm not able to, have this discussion with stakeholders, I'm usually not pursuing that. Then probably my last idea that I will be able to share is how you can involve some design thinking process as part of your implementation. So there is a simple fact that if you start iterating and prototyping early on, it will definitely be cheaper than changing a real app which you have deployed. So at the beginning, you usually try to get 3 functional roles in the same room, and you try to collaborate on defining, what is the objective, what's the goal, how that could be materialized in the form of user interface and user experience, and then you have people from with the actual hard skills who will be implementing the thing, assist with making it realistic. So what it means specifically for our teams is that we do Figma prototypes as a precondition every time. Like before we even touch Power Apps Maker portal, we quickly sketch this during the workshops with stakeholders, customers, and we iterate on top of that. We can change this 50 times, and it doesn't cost almost anything compared to changing a real app or something which is bound to a data model or which has some dependencies. So I structure my teams into like 3 stages or 3 efforts running in parallel. Ideas on how this should be done differ. So there are people who are saying UX design should be part of the implementation design. I just find that very hard to scale. So what I help people in my company and for my customers to do is to focus functionally. So have good product designers, UX designers, have good developers, evolve their skills, and have people dedicated for solving operational issues. And they need to collaborate, but they need to learn how to do these handovers and how to work in parallel. Because if you're running a project with 5 sprints, it is usually not possible to stop doing everything until you analyze the next sprint and until you do the design. So these usually run in parallel, and these are iterations. So it's not like a fixed set of steps, but they keep repeating and they keep improving the product. Yep, and since my time is up, I will close the presentation with saying, when it comes to technical terms, also focus on automation. All of these steps can be automated for people, so you remove the bottlenecks during delivery. It's still not very straightforward, but there are some cool changes coming from Microsoft which will partially help us, getting in the direction of automating the whole DevOps process. And even today, you can build the whole thing if you're interested. Feel free to ask me. I will spend the rest of my afternoon here.